I never thought I'd be the kind of person who'd get backstabbed by someone I loved. It's the kind of thing you hear about, read about, maybe watch in a movie. But when it happens to you, when the betrayal seeps into your life like poison, it feels like the air gets heavier, your heart colder, and the world a little darker. I guess I'm telling this story now because I need to let it out. Maybe it'll help me heal. Maybe it'll just help someone else see the signs. I met Emma during my sophomore year in college. She was the life of every party. The kind of girl everyone gravitated towards, radiating energy, fun, and laughter. I was drawn to her, even though I usually kept to myself. My best friend, Jason, introduced us one night at a party. And from that moment, it was like the universe conspired to keep us in each other's orbit. We became close fast. She brought out a side of me I didn't know existed. With her, I laughed louder, stayed out later, and lived harder. I fell for her, hard. It was the kind of love that consumed me, where you feel like the world is brighter because of that one person. I had Jason too, my best friend since high school. He was always the steady hand in my life, the one I could rely on when everything else was chaotic. Jason was the kind of friend you'd call at 2 a.m. if you needed someone to listen. And he'd show up with no questions asked. When I started dating Emma, he was happy for me. We were a trio, always hanging out, studying together, grabbing food between classes. And sometimes, Jason would crash our dates like a third wheel, but it never felt like one. I loved having them both in my life. In hindsight, that was the first mistake. Things were good. Really good. Emma and I were inseparable. She had her moments of moodiness, but I chalked it up to the usual stress of school, exams, and life. Jason and I stayed close. And though I could tell he wasn't always a fan of how Emma acted, he never said anything. I figured he was just protective of me, and I appreciated that. We were solid. Also, I thought. It was during the fall of my junior year when everything started to unravel. It didn't happen all at once, more like little signs. Small moments that didn't sit right. Emma would cancel plans with me last minute, saying she wasn't feeling well, only for me to find out from her Instagram stories that she'd gone out with friends. She'd get defensive when I asked about it, brushing me off like it was no big deal. I didn't want to be the paranoid boyfriend, so I let it slide. Love makes you blind to the things you don't want to see. One night, we had plans to meet up at this cozy little restaurant downtown. It was our 2-year anniversary. I'd saved up for weeks to take her somewhere nice. Seeing Jason. My best friend. The person I had trusted more than anyone. The person I thought would stand by me for life. And now, he was the one who had stabbed me in the back. Along with the woman I loved more than anything. I couldn't speak. My throat felt like it was closing up, choking on the words that wouldn't come out. My hands trembled uncontrollably, as if every cell in my body refused to face the cruel reality unfolding before me. Emma tried to say something. Maybe to explain. Maybe to justify herself. But I couldn't hear her anymore. Her voice became distant, like a faint echo from a place far away. All I could think about was Jason. My best friend. The person I considered a brother. Now turned into a traitor. Memories flashed through my mind, times we laughed, drank beer, confided in each other about everything. Everything I had shared with him, now it all felt like a joke. This betrayal wasn't just about Emma, it was about our friendship. About the trust we had built. About everything I had poured my heart into. Their betrayal was like a knife stabbing deep into my chest. And with every heartbeat, that knife twisted further, pushing me into an abyss of endless pain. I didn't know how to stop the pain. I wanted to scream, to smash something, to demand why. But instead, I just stood there, staring at Emma, desperately searching for any reason to forgive. But there was nothing left, only bitterness. I left without saying a word. I couldn't process it. Couldn't wrap my head around it. I drove around for hours, not really going anywhere, just trying to figure out how my life had unraveled so quickly. How had I missed this? How had I let it happen? The next day, Jason called. I didn't answer. He texted. I didn't respond. Eventually, he showed up at my apartment, knocking on the door like nothing had changed. "We need to talk," he said when I finally opened the door. His face was pale, eyes filled with something that looked like guilt. But I couldn't bring myself to care. "I don't have anything to say to you," I said coldly. And for the first time in our friendship, I saw him flinch. "Look, I screwed up. Okay? I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. Didn't mean for it to happen," I repeated, my voice rising. "You didn't mean to sleep with my girlfriend for 6 months?" He looked down, his hands shoved in his pockets. "I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to lose you as a friend." I laughed then, a bitter sound that felt foreign coming from my mouth. "Well, congrats. Man. You got both Emma and the destruction of our friendship. I hope it was worth it." Jason tried to talk more, to justify it, to explain. But I couldn't hear him. I was done. Done with him. Done with Emma. The two people I loved most in the world had gutted me. And there was no coming back from that. Not for a long time. If ever. In the weeks that followed, I tried to rebuild. I cut both of them out of my life. Emma tried to reach out a few times, sending me long messages about how she still cared about me, how she never meant to hurt me. I ignored her. Jason eventually stopped trying to contact me, though I heard through mutual friends that they were still seeing each other. It stung. But I was past caring. It's been a year now since that day. Time has dulled the pain, though I still feel it in quiet moments. I'm learning to trust again, to let people in. But it's harder now. I question everyone's motives, wondering if they'll turn on me the way Emma and Jason did. If there's one thing I've learned from this, it's that love can blind you, but betrayal will open your eyes. You just have to decide if you'll keep looking back or start looking forward. For now, I'm choosing forward.